Hello, Namibia. Hello, Africa. Welcome to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor, and on this show, we get to chat to amazing Africans who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about culture and how we carry it and celebrate it everywhere we go. Today's guest with me is Irene-Marie, who's all the way, born and raised in South Africa and moved to Namibia at 11 years old.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Soraya?
Oh, so good. Just before this, Irene and I were talking so much about her journey to South Africa and her experiences. I'm so excited to get into it.
Yeah.
I need to breathe because it's about to be a roller coaster. For me specifically, I'm so keen to tap into your Johannesburg, your
Pretoria,
Robertson,
Cape Town,
where you grew
Robertson,
up,
yes.
Pretoria and Cape Town. I'm so excited to step into that. I just want to firstly introduce you to the audience properly, like what culture you're from and where you grew up.
Yes. I am Irene-Marie Van Der Walt. I am an Afrikaner. I guess that's what we call it. I'm very, we're very in between on what we want to call it, but Afrikaner, I'm an Afrikaans-speaking person. My mother is from Cape Town. Her whole family is from Cape Town. My father and his family are originally from Gubabis.
Gubabis, oh.
Gubabis, so right
Namibian
here, right
link.
over here. Yes, right next door.
Nice. As Afrikaner, do you guys have any, because I'm always wondering, like, what cultural specific traits do you guys have? Because I'm not quite aware of the Afrikaner culture.
Yeah, I actually have, discussed this with my brother about a couple months ago. For the first time at the age of 24, it dawned on me that I don't know what Afrikaner cultural food is. Because my mother's from Cape Town and my grandmother wasn't a very good cook by the time she got married, which in the time, was unheard of. So she learned to cook from their maid, Honey. And Honey was like family to us. And,
oh, wow. Was
so,
she a honey? She sounds...
and she learned to cook from Honey, and then my grandmother and Honey obviously taught my mother to cook. So a lot of the food I grew up eating was Cape Malay food. And so in my brain, I had this moment at a whole 24 years of age. I was like, wait, biryani isn't Afrikaner food. It's not our traditional food. I think the Afrikaner culture is, it has modernized in a lot of ways. I think it looks a lot different now than it used to, in the sense of, the music that we listen to, in the sense of, how we engage with one another. And I've always been so proud of Afrikaans because during the apartheid regime, Afrikaans was, as a language, was rebranded as a white man's language, and there was a lesser than form of speaking Afrikaans, and that was the way that, other people who are not white speak Afrikaans, And I've always said that if you take the African influence out of Afrikaans, you just end up with Dutch again. Afrikaans was born from Dutch landing here and then African people bringing their influence to that. So to me, being an Afrikaner, I actually had this conversation with an Uber driver in Pretoria the other day. Being an Afrikaner, to me, I feel a lot closer to a lot of African cultures because I feel like their cultures have had a bigger influence on who I am culturally than the Dutch culture has,
And you said like it has modernized, which it is bound to happen with most cultures in today's time.
Yeah.
I'm keen to hear, is there a difference between that you've maybe seen in the Afrikaans culture from South Africa to Namibia?
Actually, I could very much go into the history of this. So in the Afrikaners are, I don't want to say known for, but they're kind of known for trekking, trekking.
Okay,
moving from one place to another.
I don't know why I saw a train station right now. It's like tracking, they're making trains.
think of an ox wagon, right?
Okay.
And it's very big in our cultural imagery, and a very big part of our history is the Voortrekkers and the Doorsland Trek, which brought a lot of Afrikaners up to Namibia. And one of the big reasons for those splits occurring, because basically they would trek up to a certain point, and then a certain group would split up and move to a different point,
Okay.
And one of the main reasons and one of the big, sort of motivational factors behind the Doorsland Trek, which is how Afrikaners mainly ended up in Namibia, is that a certain part of this one group felt that the group was getting too radical for them. So then they moved.
Not the drama.
They moved away, and so that they could live a more conservative life. So I do find that there is in South Africa a more radical way of thinking.
Okay.
it's very subtle, you know. It's very, like, a lot of people, and it irritates me to no end when people think that Namibia and South Africa are the same, you know. It is not. If you live there, if you know anything about it, it's not the same at all, you know. But the differences are quite subtle, and the same for me is with Afrikaners from South Africa and Afrikaners from Namibia. And I can see this in my parents, you know. My mom was the radical one. My mom was the one who, you know, not pushed, but, you know, she was very
adventurous.
Well, not really adventurous, but she was very set that her kids would get to know gay people, you know.
Okay.
And then make up their own minds about it, you know. That her kids would get to know people from other cultures. That her kids would try different foods from from all over the world. And my dad was the more conservative, you know. We have a certain way of living, and trots Afrikaans, you know. So there is, for me, a difference. It's very subtle. It's not unbearable. It's not that, you know, I'd look at an Afrikaans-speaking person from South Africa, an Afrikaner from South Africa, and I go, where did you come from, you know? But there is a difference in the way that we are, I think, taught growing up, and that leads to a different way in thinking.
That you have like a mixture of both worlds, and then it's you now. I'm actually keen to know, because it popped a question in my mind when you said you grew up with completely different styled food. Are you now living, is there a chance where you've actually tried Afrikaans food rather?
I mean, yeah. My parents' friends were Afrikaners for the most part. So you go to their houses and you eat their food. And then I remember this so clearly. I was in grade 6. I was in Pioneers Park for an entire year.
Yeah.
And we went to Veld School. And I was crying the whole time because I just missed my mom's food, right? So it was kind of that thing where, like, your food's nice. My mom's food's cooler, because she makes biryani all the time, you know, and she makes like Cape curries all the time. And she, you know, so I can tell you objectively, Cape Malay food is better.
Cape Malay food is better.
Come at me, I will fight you on this. Okay. Cape Malay food is better. I would eat other people's food and I'd be like, this is nice.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as what my mom makes.
I don't even think anyone can beat like a mom's meal, because it's so good, and it's like personally for you.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to tap into your journey when you moved in Namibia at 11 years old. Take us through that experience. Why did you guys leave home?
My father, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now, considering myself Namibian first and foremost, I understand it. He wanted to be closer to Namibia, you know. He had met my mom in South Africa, they got married in South Africa, had kids in South Africa. And it had been close to 20 years that he had lived in South Africa.
Wow.
And he just wanted to come back to Namibia, you know, and I sympathize with that. I can understand just wanting to come back to South Africa, you know. There are times where I think, okay, I need to dream bigger than Namibia. I need to, you know, go somewhere else. I need to go to London. I need to go to Spain. I need to go to the US. I need to go somewhere that's not here, you know. Yeah. And I preemptively grieve for having to leave Namibia behind, you know. Like, I have cried over this, that I can't dream bigger than Namibia and still stay in Namibia, you know. That I'm so incredibly driven in my career, and I love what I do, and I always want to do it bigger and better. And at one point that means leaving Namibia, but at the same time I can never leave this little piece of earth. Like, it's just, I always say my hart's a bare plek. It's like the place where my heart like belongs, where you have to put it when you put it away, you know. That's the place. This is where it goes.
That made me so emotional right now, 'cause
I am quite emotional about Namibia, I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, you found a home, even knowing that you can go further, but nothing compares to
I will always
here.
want to come back. I will always, you know, if I were to live in, for example, London, I would sit in London wishing I were in Namibia, and I'd sit in Namibia wishing I were in London, you know? So there's always been that sense of like, this is home, but at the same time, somewhere else has to be home. Yeah. But this is where I am. This is where I have to be at some point, you know, so.
I just want to, before we go to a quick break, I just want to ask, what does home mean to you, coming from 2 countries now?
It is, I think about this a lot. When I go back to South Africa, because my mother was South African, she loved being South African. She was very proud of that identity, and she got sick, not to be a downer, she had cancer, and, you know, when it came to that point where she got her final diagnosis that it wasn't going to get better, she just wanted to return to South Africa, So South Africa is where I feel closest to my mother. South Africa is where, I look at people and I go, these are the people that my mother loved, Even if, my mom had never met this specific person, but this is the kind of environment that she loved, and I see it through her eyes, and I love it through her heart in a way, but at the same time, I feel like I've made Namibia my own, and I feel like Namibia is where I belong. So I think home, more than anything, if you were to ask me what it is to me, it is, I don't think one can ever be fully home. I think certain parts of you are home, depending on where you are. I think, if I were to move abroad and build this fantastic career abroad, my career would be at home. That part of me that loves my job would be at home. And in Namibia, there's a part of me, there's a human part of me. There's an interpersonal. I love, the way we interact as Namibians. That is home. That part of me is home. And when I am in South Africa, the part of me that longs for my mother, that loves my mother, the part of me that loves my grandparents, that part is home, So, yeah.
I'm so excited to continue talking to you. I feel
we're getting very deep here.
Wow, this is about to be a whole...
I promise I'm fun.
I'm loving this so far. We know you guys like what you see. We'll be right back on Africa Beyond Borders. Hello and welcome back to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor. Still with me is Irene-Marie, who's here to share her experiences moving from South Africa to Namibia and some interesting adventures to South Africa. I don't even know where to start because it's Cape Town, it's Joburg, and it's, I want to say Durban, but not Durban. Pretoria. I want to start off, let's go to Cape Town since you've been there quite a... When were you in Cape Town, actually?
I was born in Stellenbosch, close to Cape Town, and I lived there until I was about 6 years old before we moved to Robertson. And then, like I said, with my mother, when she decided to go back to South Africa, she went back to Grabouw, which is in the Elgin region. And that's also where my grandparents lived. And it's literally just you drive down the mountain and you're in Somerset West, which is kind of entering the Cape Town area.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I just want to tap into your experience in Cape Town. What were some of the adventures you've had there that were just like undeniably great?
I grew up there, like Belleville round, so I can't really tell you like anything cool that happened. But it really laid the foundation for me. Before we started recording, we spoke a bit about how I sort of showed my early signs of being interested in the media there, a visit to the Sunbelt building, which is where I first made the link between there's a voice on the radio and that voice is attached to a person who is sitting in a studio. So that's kind of where that foundation was laid. I've always been a big reader. We still don't really know who taught me to read. My mom was just vacuuming
just
one
naturally
day.
Smart
I was
kids.
sitting there with my brother's grade 1 book, which he hated when I stole those, but I did anyways because I'm a rebel. And I was sitting there and my mom was like, but you don't know what that says. And I'm like, no. And I start reading and my mom's like, who taught you to read? Where did you learn this? So then they obviously, in an attempt to encourage good habits, got me to the public library close to Belleville ASAP, and I've been a reader ever since. So that very much laid the foundations for who I consider myself to be now. The media thing, being a reader, being interested in learning about the world.
Wow, it's so beautiful to hear that you were just literally born into this world and you decided your career path before anyone decided for you.
It's so weird because I had those little seeds, I had those little moments that I didn't realize at the time were me showing an interest or an inclination. It was only when I was 16 that there was a moment, and this was at Midgard here, with a media camp for NMH's Youth Development Project, My Zone. That was the first time that I was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then when I sat and thought about it, I was like, you idiot, you've always shown signs, you just didn't pay attention to them.
I'm so happy that you found your passion and you're like going straight into it. You're doing lovely in this industry.
Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing to watch you. I want to tap into, we had an interesting conversation about EOX and Formula One and her experience in Johannesburg. I would love to tap into that experience because I want to know how. How does this happen?
So basically, the Red Bull racing team, Red Bull has a team in Formula One. That's who Max Verstappen drives. They have a team and they do something called a show run. So show runs are not uncommon in the Formula One world. They literally just take a Formula One car, they drive it down a section of road, and then someone can come watch, you know, and for someone like me who's never been to a Formula One race, but I love Formula One so much, that was my first opportunity to see a Formula One car, like with my own eyeballs, you know. So it was really special, and this might be a bit TMI, but the first time I heard a Formula One car, they are really loud. I knew they were loud. I just thought, because I'm half deaf, I was like, half of the sound won't reach me anyway. And they are so loud that it literally like rattles the wax out of your ear, right?
Wow.
And so I'm standing at the bar trying to get a bottle of water, and there's this girl, she's kitted out in a Van Cleef bracelet and a Van Cleef necklace. I'm like, oh, that's so tacky. Who shows up in fake Van Cleef? And then I looked closer. I was like, oh no, that's real. That's real. That's the attention to detail in real Van Cleef.
Sure.
And I'm talking with this girl, and she's like 17, whatever. We strike up a conversation in the row, and the whole time I'm just here like, yeah.
Like watching yourself.
Trying to just get the wax out of my ear.
That is so cool.
It was so bad.
I can't even, like, I didn't even know they have these showcases that go on frequently. So you're just naturally a fan of Formula One?
No, actually not. I always say that Sebastian Vettel is my favorite driver. He is an absolute nerd, and I love nerdy people.
Ooh.
I love people who have a special little interest in something. And I just happened to see a video on Instagram of Sebastian Vettel naming all the Formula One world champions, which has been going on for 75 years. They're crowning their 75th champion this year.
Sure.
And he named them all by year in reverse order, you know? And my brain just went, who is this nerd? You know? So I looked it up. So I looked it up. I came to know that that is Sebastian Vettel, and that he, at the time, he drove for Ferrari, and, you know, and so I just slowly got roped in. I started looking at the results every weekend just to see how Seb did. Did Seb did good and do good? Like, how is Seb doing? Obviously, he was in a Ferrari. He never really did that great. But anyway, then I started getting an interest in other drivers, you know, these names that you constantly see at the top, you know, Max Verstappen's and that, and you start getting an interest in all those other drivers.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, you find yourself watching a full race and understanding pitch strategy and understanding tire strategy and understanding how track temperature affects the race and how, you know, rain and the great equalizer of Formula One. And
I think this is the most exposure to Formula One I've got in my life.
So basically, I saw Sebastian Vettel name all the Formula One world champions in reverse order, and I've been this way ever since. That's the best I could tell you.
And what year was this?
Oh, this was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Sure, it was probably like 4 years ago now.
Oh, 4 years is not that bad. It's not like 20 years.
It's not that long, but it has taken over my entire personality at this point.
Okay. So it's been brewing for 4 years.
Yeah, for 4 years, a very big part of my personality has been Formula One.
I love that. Before we tap into just more traveling, I just want to dip a little bit into your experience in Pretoria. What happened there, and how did you find yourself there?
Yeah, so I went to Joburg. The show run was last year, in October, early in October, and then this year, a good friend of mine who's also from Windhoek, Irene-Marie.
Hey, Irene-Marie.
Hi. She has a band called Kiss, which means Skeleton Coast.
Okay.
Right? And
that is very cool,
she's in the band with another Namibian, and that's why they have this Namibian name for the band. And they had released their first single, you know? Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah, and so they released their first single in the beginning of August this year. And, you know, since Irene-Marie has moved to Pretoria, we're not really in contact as much as we were before. We don't see each other as much as we were before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bugger it. Even if I go alone, I will be there front row supporting my friend. So it was at Kaapstad Brauhaus in Pretoria.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of other things, obviously when in Rome. I'm very sad that I didn't go see the Cradle of Humankind, though.
The Cradle of Humankind?
The Cradle
I'm
of
not aware
Humankind.
of this.
It's supposed to be the point where humankind existed from and moved from.
What?
Yeah, it's in South Africa. Yeah.
Okay. The world collectively decided that there's a point where humans existed from, and that's in South Africa?
Yeah, so basically all humans come from what is now Africa. So it used to be one big continent, and then with continental shifts and everything, and the tectonic plates breaking up, it broke up into different continents, right? So all humans come from the region that is now Africa, that has now broken up into the African continent. And we've all moved from Africa, you know? This is literally like thousands of thousands of thousands. Yes, this is thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years ago. So probably before we were even Homo sapiens, probably like Homo erectus kind of. So long, long, long ago. But basically humans, they say, all come from the region where Africa is now, and it's been traced back to the Cradle of Humankind, which is kind of supposed to be the central point where humans moved from onto the different. Yeah. So I'm the nerd in me.
And this is in Pretoria?
It's close.
Close to Pretoria.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so cool.
That's why I'm so sad that I didn't go see it, because I knew that the Cradle of Humankind is in South Africa. And I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
And then when I got back, I was Googling something about somewhere that I had been in Pretoria at a restaurant or something. And then on Google Maps, I just like accidentally zoomed out and I just saw a pin for Cradle of Humankind. I was like, no way. I was right there and I didn't go see it. So, yeah.
You know what? It's okay. You're going to find yourself there again.
I will go again. I'll go visit Irene-Marie again.
Yes. For her second album, maybe. Not second album, but second single, maybe. Yeah, we can do that.
The nerd in me is so upset that I didn't go.
I'm still shocked that this is information that I'm getting right now. But I just want to show...
It's probably the first thing they told you in history class in high school. And at that point, nobody's paying attention because we're all getting orientated. We have like name boards and we're wearing plastic bags for socks and stuff. So we probably weren't listening. So
I was not listening. I did not like history.
I feel you.
I love that, absolutely. I just want to tap into just your final tips into traveling. So your experiences in South Africa, if I was to go to SA tomorrow, got a flight ticket, what places would you say, Soraya, definitely go visit there?
There's close to Grabouw, there's a place called the Elgin Railway Market.
The Elgin Railway Market?
Yes,
cool.
And it is just a beautiful, beautiful little piece of earth.
I like how you say a piece of earth. Wow.
It is, they have like a bunch of different stalls. They have a little Italian stall that used to do arancini all the time. And they have like coffee places and a place that sells like craft gins of different cool flavors and whatever. And it's just so lovely to have a coffee and sit there and just look out on nature.
Yeah.
So Elgin Railway is definitely somewhere that you need to go. For me, I went to the Voortrekker Monument, which I think if you are interested in history and the history of the Afrikaner people, even if your people weren't Voortrekker, it is a big part of Afrikaner history. Big part of Afrikaner history. And worth seeing, I think. Once in your lifetime. And then for me, one thing I always do is I have to go to a newsroom at some point.
A newsroom?
I'm obsessed with my job. Even when I go on vacation, I have to go to a newsroom. I have to go see the conditions under which other journalists work. I have to go talk to other journalists and hear their perspectives on life. I love it so much.
Oh no, I love it for you. That is so cool. I never thought I'd be like, I need to go to a newsroom in another country and see what's up.
I'm just obsessed with my job, like obsessed. So I have to.
I love it. I love it. Irina, it is absolutely amazing having you on the show. I could have you for like 40 minutes just talking your stories. You're such a ray of sunshine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Soraya.
To all our viewers, you're welcome. To all our viewers watching, you guys can catch us, Africa Beyond Borders, every Monday at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV, channel 285, GoTV, channel 25, and you can stream every episode on oneup2.com. We'll see you guys next week.